Hey, I have a little bit of a bone to pick with the It Gets Better project, most specifically its videos. I really love the idea in theory, I really do. I love the idea of strangers reaching out to other people and saying, I know where you are right now, I've been there, I've thought of killing myself, and I want to say, don't give up. And then they cut right to, and look at me now, super happy with a baby, or all out and proud at my, big corporate job. That seems great and all, but they all leave me feeling a bit empty. The videos always say I almost ended it, but it magically got better, and now it's super great. But how? They never exactly tell you how it gets better. I'm not expecting a 12-step program or how-to manual, but, some examples would be nice. And I can't be the only one who thinks these videos jump from A to C and totally skip B. I really just refuse to believe that. So I've made this little video to reach out to those who have also wondered how it gets better. I really can only speak for myself and my own experiences. I'm not going to attempt to be condescending or think that I know all of the situations that people out there are dealing with. This is just one example of how it can get better, in high hopes that it encourages others to share how it got better for them. So here goes. I actually think my situation could have just as easily happened to straight people. So my terrible situation, my rock bottom, happened in great part because of the friends I had and was living with. Before college graduation, I knew I wanted to move out for real and have roommates and live the whole early 20s lifestyle, so I made my plans to move out into a townhouse with 3 friends of mine, 2 of them girls, 1 guy, and all of us gay. I also landed a job at a local high school, though I would be technically working for my college, and I pretty much thought I had it made. And that summer, I was working at a coffee shop, and I started having a crush on this coworker of mine. We'll call her JJ, and of course, I tell my roommate, my best friend, we'll call her Madeline, about this girl, and she's really excited for me and basically says, you should hit that. So by some stroke of luck or bad judgment, JJ comes home with me one night. Then the next morning, I get a note from Madeline saying, you're so gay, with a smiley face. She was really happy for me. Except 4 days later, I see JJ leaving Madeline's room. 4 days after Madeline knew I slept with my crush, she goes on ahead and fucks JJ. So I played it cool in front of JJ, but I really had to talk to Madeline later. She took no blame for what she did because it just happened, no big deal, but no matter how much she said it wasn't a big deal and that I was making it into a big deal, I still felt really hurt and betrayed. So I just started to feel insane because she kept telling me it was just me. And my best friend had quickly gone from my biggest source of comfort and support to actually being my biggest source of pain. And that, paired with my job that quickly snowballed into more than I could handle, I was eating my feelings like whoa, and crying in my car a lot. I would stop my sobbing when I was at the house, and when I felt like I was going to lose control, by cutting. And a lot of people will say that's hurting yourself, and some people will call a type of cutting scarification. It wasn't either of those things. I wasn't intending to do harm to myself, and these weren't suicide attempts. I don't think I was hurting myself, but actually focusing my pain and this overwhelming emotion into something controllable. I know that they would slow my erratic breathing, they would stop my tears from just blinding me and stop my body from shaking, and they would just let me focus. And maybe just for a little bit, but it helped. And I didn't want people to know, so I kept the cutting to my thighs and my upper arms so I could easily hide the marks. The only times when I didn't care about them being seen actually was with Madeline and JJ. Madeline saw a tiny part of the band-aid I had on my arm, quickly lifted up my sleeve and yanked it back down again, muttering something like, "You're really fucking doing this?" and just walked away. And once when I was working the same shift with JJ, she saw the little scars on my arm and she tapped them and whispered to me, "I know what those are from." But being that the two of them caused me the most pain and anxiety every day and were pretty much the reason that I was doing that, I just thought, oh well, like, what are they going to do about it? I started going to weekly therapy sessions through my college to help me deal. Mainly I wanted somewhere to go and feel safe, since I didn't feel safe at work and I didn't feel safe at my house. It wasn't always groundbreaking or awesome, but I know it was something positive, and I did try to always make my appointments. I ended up telling my counselor, that I felt like things were getting worse and that I used to cut to help me deal with the pain. And as you can expect, she told me not to do it and not to hurt myself. Then she ended up making me sign a little contract between her and myself so that she could be sure that I wouldn't do this and that I would take positive steps instead of the negative ones if I ever felt seriously trapped. I was to call these 3 or 4 people in order, starting from the first, going to the next. If that didn't work, I had to call one of these helpline numbers or take myself to the nearest hospital if I had hurt myself again. A little while later, when I was at the end of my week-long spring break at home in Virginia, I had to call one of those helpline numbers. Every time I thought about going back to that townhouse and going back to work, I felt like throwing up and I started to cry. I would shake, like literally my whole body was shaking and my heart would pound in my chest and there was that heavy lump in my throat and I couldn't brush it off. It wouldn't go away. And I felt as trapped and as hopeless as I've ever felt and I hope to ever feel again. And I had the tools to potentially end my life. A big bottle of one of those over-the-counter sleeping pills and a bottle or 2 of unopened wine just waiting for me. I got close to uncorking the wine a few times, but I was actually shaking so hard that I couldn't do it properly. And I started thinking about how weak I was, how big of a failure I was, how pathetic people would think me to be because I killed myself over a girl and a job when people around the world have way worse lives than me, and I just couldn't handle what I was dealing with. And I remembered the contract I made with my counselor, and I didn't want her to find out that I hadn't kept that promise to her, so I started to call. I called the first person, got their voicemail. I called the second person, and the phone just kept ringing. I called the next person, voicemail. I was shaking uncontrollably, and my tears just flowed out of me. No matter how much I wiped my face, they just kept coming. And then I called the 1-800 number because that was the next thing to do on my list, even though I didn't know what the hell to expect or what they could actually do to help me. But soon I got an answer. The lady said hello and asked me what my situation was. I said hi, but she didn't hear me and asked, hello? Hello, are you there? I had to clear my throat and try really hard to say hello louder, and it was still just a whisper, and I tried so hard. Then she finally heard me. She started asking me questions about how close I was to attempting suicide and if I had taken anything yet. She got me talking about how I was feeling trapped and lonely and insane, and she got me to focus on what I could do right now to actually change things. And at one point I remember her saying really loudly, "Fuck them if they think you're a failure. This is your fucking life." So she got me to think that I could just send an email to my boss saying I couldn't physically or emotionally do my job anymore and that I quit. She got me to see that I could change my situation because it was literally going to kill me. and it wasn't worth it. Calling her when I knew I could kill myself and likely would kill myself was the turning point. I took her advice. I quit my job. I told my roommates, except Madeline, because we weren't speaking, that I was moving out. I had no other plan other than that I had to move back home. That was pretty much my only option. It was good and necessary in the long run, but it really hurt my ego at the time. Having to move back home literally felt like a step back in my life. It got better for me because I called that phone number and that woman picked up. And when I took her advice and I left my life in Baltimore, it was not easy and it did not happen overnight. It was slow and difficult, but I know that that's what I had to do to drastically change my bad situation because it would only get worse. I was unemployed for a long time after that, and I felt like a total loser for a while, and I still do sometimes. But at least I was sleeping through the night without pills and not waking up crying all the time. So that's really good. Now I have a job where I'm valued and I know that I'm appreciated by my boss and my coworkers. A job which I love because it lets me be on my own a lot, which is important to me, and it helps keep me happy and healthy walking dogs all day. I've also gone back to indulging my need to write, stories, fiction, ramblings of what I'm feeling. I dressed up as Hermione Granger for the midnight premiere of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows both times. Something that I used to be scared to do because people would think it's stupid. Like, here's this 20-something-year-old dressing up like a child. Fuck it. I actually made my friend who was with me take a picture of me, and during the first premiere, I read The Tale of the Three Brothers to some kids in line because I had the book with me. I indulge myself and I do what I want to do in my free time, and I let myself be my weird, nerdy, moody self. And I'm not like a lot of people, but that's okay. And no, I'm not rich, and no, I'm not in a long-term relationship, but I'm doing a lot better. I know I'll never go back to that hopeless place again, and if things start to get sour with friends or girls in the future, I'll know how to stop it and get out before I let it get that far again. Well, this is how it got better for me. I really hope that this helps someone, at least one person, to not feel alone or crazy when it seems like everything's going wrong, because you're not the only one and you're not alone. I also wanted to add that I always think of Luna Lovegood in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix when she's talking to Harry in the forest with the Thestrals, and he thinks she's just about the only person who believes that he's not going crazy and that he's not lying, and she disagrees and believes that's how Voldemort wants Harry to feel, that he wants him to feel alone and cut off from everyone else, because if it's just you alone, you're not as much of a threat. And the homophobes, the abusers, the bullies want you to feel alone in this world because it makes it easier for them to hurt you. But you're not alone. You're not the only one. And it can and it will get better.